All right. Let's do a quick reading on Oprah Winfrey. Thanks to at loading from YouTube. Thank you, sir, for asking for this reading. This one's for you, my friend. All right, so let's get right into it. Um, what do we see? She's a massive spender, absolutely massive spender. She probably spends a lot of money on luxurious stuff, probably as much as she makes, which is incredible because she makes a lot of money. She's a big spender. I see a lot of learned ego, gained ego over time. So this is not something she was naturally born with, but has definitely gained a certain ego over time. I also see a little split here, so she might be suffering from some sort of duality. I'm not sure what that is yet. She is an extremely learned communicator, so she can both be quite crude and strict in her speech, and she can also be like very smooth and seemingly empathetic. So I see a sort of duality here as well. I would say this is behind the scenes, and I would say this is what she shows to the world. Let's see. She is hyper patient, extremely calculating, a huge planner. This is a definitive thing. I would say that she would go as far as to plan, you know, what she's gonna wear for I don't know, like a show or an interview. How she's going to move her arms, her fingers, when she's going to smile, how she's going to smile, how she's going to shake someone's hand, everything. She pre plans literally everything, and this makes her an extremely dangerous woman. She is also hyper focused on detail. Again, not naturally, this is a learned skill for her, but she's hyper focused on detail. This usually happens to people, especially females, who are survivors of some sort of violent past, and we know she's had a violent past. I could see I could see that straight away as soon as I saw and started reading her face. Um, she is just hyper focused on that experience. We see her wearing large earrings a lot. Usually, these earrings are very heavy. These earrings, when women wear these, they usually represent a deep, innate desire to escape or distance from family, especially if the earlobes are connected to the face, because what the earrings do is that they symbolize the the how to say departure of the earlobe from the face. It's almost like it's trying to rip the earlobe off of the face. So she doesn't really show her ears much. But I would say that any troubles she might have had with her past, be it some sort of harassment, you know what I'm talking about, you guys. It'll probably have come from her family. She's seen a lot of violence, physical violence, violence of other types, screaming, yelling, blah blah blah. And um, what I would say is she definitely suffers from selective hyperempathy, and this is again something that happens to survivors a lot. So she will hyper empathize with people she deems are like her, or somehow similar to her, or have been through similar traumas as she has. So this will most likely be, like let's say like black women, or something like that. Um, and in a way, she wants to mother them without actually mothering them. I would say. So when you have selective hyperempathy, it really changes the shape of your face, and this is a very deceiving thing. All right. Um, it basically means that your face will show that you're highly empathetic, but also, the other side of that, the dark side of that, is that you're hyper empathetic to only certain types of people. So on the other end of that, everyone seems like an enemy. So the more hyper empathetic you are towards a certain group, the less empathetic you are to the rest of the world. And I think this is what we're looking at here. So she has a very primal source of energy that she's getting energy from. She has a feeling of non-safety, I would say. So her base motivation actually is very basic. It's survival. So money equals security for her. All right. This is something you have to understand. So survival kind of like stands over morals for her, and her self-defense mechanism is showing you that she is extremely hyper empathetic in a twisted way that is true, and she's what I call a protector of structure, which means that if she gains influence and power within a certain structure, organization, or government, she will literally be loyal to that system. Until the end, she will die to protect that system because that system guarantees that she stays in power and she stays protected. So this is her face to me tells a story of a survivor, hyper focused on on defense mode, hyper focused on survival. She's what I call a dysfunctional manipulator, someone who will gain these hyper motherly traits, such as hyper empathy, so on and so forth. But deep inside, will use it to be, quite a dualistic character. She will not do evil in a sense that she's not going to discriminate against certain types of people, but she's going to kind of like indirectly still discriminate against them by applying her empathy and humanizing, um, you know, people she deems worthy, and thus dehumanizing everyone else. So she doesn't actually have to do anything evil to play out her kind of like repressed internal darkness. So I see a lot of soul trauma in her. Unfortunately, I see a lot of darkness. Um, you know, I know you guys are gonna say like, yeah, Joe, Jack, like whenever you do, you know, the face readings for like these popular people, like these super famous people, like it's always like focus on the negatives. But I'm sorry, guys. A lot of people who come into fame and influence, these people are not good people. Usually. So I can only see, what I say. If you look at, and I saw a lot on her face. This is a longer video than usual, but if you look at some of her pictures from her childhood, it becomes a lot more apparent of what I'm talking about, right? I see a lot of repressed emotion, repressed anger, and hatred. This kind of grows into like something larger. As she grows up, I see a complete departure of self-awareness, but I see an increase in wealth. I see an increase in thought, in complex thought, right? That ego definitely grows. Where naturally, she is not a predator. She's not a predator naturally. She's someone who was preyed upon. Unfortunately, I see a lot. A lot of violence here, yelling, screaming, physical violence. Um, and violence of any other type. I see a certain gullible nature, and then usually like when these things happen, this when I saw this picture, this was when I was like, yeah, she definitely had some serious family problems in her past, because you can tell from this one. Yeah, it's very apparent on this one. But yeah, definitely a dysfunctional manipulator. Do not trust. Do not trust. She has her agenda. She will, lie through her teeth to defend the structure that has made her famous and influential. I won't say that she doesn't really actually care. She does, but very selectively. She very selectively cares for a select group of people. And why I call it darkness is because the demons of her past, we all know what they are now. She has, successfully aligned herself, if you look at her political life and her political choices, with people who are guilty of, possibly guilty of those same crimes. So, you know, um, yeah, I would say her hands are quite dirty. And she's a very good manipulator. She's a very learned communicator. She's learned all of these skills, um, and used her hyper empathy, um, to create this motherly image of the hyper empathetic human being. But the dark side of her, do not trust. Anyway, guys, follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube at Jack of Faces if you want more, and tell me who we should face read next. See ya.